Hey there and welcome to the weeblounge. I'm Nick, and in this guide for Princess Connect Redive, we're going to go over some basic battle strategy. How to form your group, are you going to do certain types of different damage, formation, heals, buffs, everything you need to know to get into this game and start playing right now. All right, the first thing you kind of need to know is elements. Now, what are elements? Well, if you take a lot of these other gacha games, JRPGs, whatever it is, it's usually like earth, wind, fire, void, darkness, and all this other kind of crazy stuff. And a lot of these gacha games like to make this really, really complicated. Some of them will have like 7 basic elements, 3 like offset elements, 2 like really weird ones to the side, and 1 that's like a catch-all, all this kind of crazy stuff. And you have to have a tree and arrows and everything all over the place. Princess Connect Redive is probably the simplest one. You got physical damage, you got magic damage. That's it. Those are the only quote-unquote elements that you need to worry about. So I really like it in that case because it's really simplistic and, up here, this needs to be simple. All right, well, what is the example of it? Let's say a magic damage character. Well, you got Anna here. All right, you pull up her skills and it'll tell you right down here, deals 4,174 magic damage to all enemies. Well, if she's doing magic damage, she's magic element, if you want to call it that. Same thing goes with Akino here. Pull up one of her skills, her Union Burst, physical damage to a single target. That's what that one does. So you want to form a group based on these elements. You basically want to have an all physical oriented group or an all magic damage oriented group. When you start mixing and matching, there's ways to make it work, but it starts to get harder and you kind of lose effectiveness. So either physical group or magic group. And you'll often form those based on what you're fighting. Now, if that all sounds a little complicated or scary, don't worry about it, because when you start and you get in the game, just form a physical group, form a magic group, and go. You don't have to worry about much of anything else until you start getting higher level and stuff. So don't let that scare you off. And strategy in this game early on is fairly simple, but as it grows, it's going to get more complicated, so do keep that in mind. Now let's go ahead and go over to the little battle thing here so I can show you guys a few little sample formations. Alright, now let's say we want to put together a physical group. Well, a typical group is going to be physical or magic oriented, like I said, but it's also depending on the type of character. And the types of characters are basically tank, support, DPS, or healers. Okay, you got those 4 different ones: tank, support, DPS, heals. And a typical group is formed of 1 tank, 1 support, 1 heal, 2 damage characters. Typically. Now, that doesn't hold true to everything, depending on the fight, and Princess Connect Redive has a lot of variable fights, different boss fights and different things. Some, you might not need support. Some, you might not need a tank. Some, it might actually be beneficial to not bring a big healer. So, those are strategies down the line, but here's a sample of your basic stuff. Priconne, the main character of all Princess Connect everything. Well, she is a tank character. She stands up front, she takes a whooping, and yep, she eats food while she's fighting, too. You guys are going to find that out real quick. She's a tank character. They're typically designed with much higher defense, a lot more hit points, and they're not going to be really doing much damage at all. And some tanks can actually be specialized. Like Priconne is kind of like a catch-all tank, right? She can do just about anything. But if you want somebody who's a little bit more proficient at tanking magic damage coming in, somebody's casting a few too many fireballs or laser beams or whatever the heck it is, well, Kuka is kind of considered a magic damage tank. She will actually come in handy for that. Let's get Peko back in there. Okay, we got Peko, so let's pick a support character. Who do we want for support? Well, Kokoro, the Lolly Elf character. She can boost physical damage for your whole party, magic damage for your whole party, attack speed for everyone, and she has another buff that actually stacks a little bit more physical damage. So she'll work as a support to buff everything in just about any kind of group you want, but a little bit more physical oriented. But she's a good support, plus she has the added benefit of healing herself up a little bit, so healers won't have to focus on her too much. Alright, now, let's say we want to heal. We need somebody who's the big healer, alright? Well, real quick example of that is Yui. Yui is, her Union Burst is a full-on everybody big heal. All right, and she provides a couple other buffs along with it. Now, you'll usually find that most healers have other buffs and benefits to go with it, so the healers often act as support as well. Which actually kind of begs the thing, you know, do you need Kokoro in there? Not necessarily. Your support character, whoever it may be, you might be able to swap out for another damage dealing character depending on the fight. Might not need her, might need her, might not need her, might need her. Who knows? It all depends on the fight and what you need and what the characters that you have. You're going to have to judge that for yourself. Now, let's keep building that physical damage group. Let's get Akino in there. She's a physical damage DPS. And Suzuna, we'll throw her in there. She's an archer. She stands in the back. Now, I say it stands up front, middle, stands in the back. There's another component to the battle formation. Now, you'll see by their character icons here, their avatars, they have this little arrow, okay? The blue arrow in the back means they're going to stand in the back row, all right? One in the middle, obviously middle. The ones that's red up front, they're going to be standing up front, typically where the tanks are. The tanks are usually going to be way, way up front. And how you see the characters laid out here in a row, this is how they're going to be standing on the field as well. So if I took like Akino out and put Mimi in, okay, Mimi will kind of take that place. If I take her out and I put her in, formation changes a little bit. So it really depends. Now, there are some characters that like to stand in front of the tank, or some tanks. Keep that in mind, because if you have a DPS that wants to stand in front of the tank, that's bad. That DPS is probably going to get whooped. Okay, so keep an eye on that. Not many characters do that, but there is one. And let's see, is it her? Yeah, it's her. She goofy. Kaori's goofy. He's just stop standing in front of the tank. That's not healthy at all. Okay, well, there's your standard physical group. And you also see where they stand. Now, what if I wanted to do a magic damage group? Okay, well, that's simple. We have a tank. Pekko's a kind of a catch-all, can do whatever. Yui, okay, she heals, she can do whatever. Kokoro, she can support both physical and magic. So really all we need to swap out is the 2 physical damage. Anna, she's good magic damage. And we have Io over here. She's not the greatest damage dealer. She's more for arena, but she can do some magic damage. And another thing you can do, okay, you want somebody who's a little bit more magic damage oriented, like for support buffs and everything. Well, you can take Kokoro out, put in Akari. Kind of fills the same support role, but more geared towards magic. So there's your new group. You can get along with that. You can even take Yui out, put in Chika. That'll work too. Now, this is the basic format for just about any kind of group. You know, tank, a support in there, a healer in the back. Chika is a heal, and 2 DPS. But you can always swap in other things. Now, there are certain healers or certain support that will do single target heals as well. Like Chika's more AoE, Yui's more AoE, but what about Maho? Maho offers different kind of buffs, different kind of support, but she offers a single target heal. But that single target heal is actually more on a single target than Yui. So another thing you can ask yourself, do you need to heal the whole group, or is it just one person getting hurt? If it's just one person getting hurt, you can throw in Maho or maybe Yukari. That'll work out instead of having to have Yui in there. Let's go ahead and throw them in. Now this ain't going to last very long because you know, I'm doing 1-1. But you can see the formation that they stood in, exactly same formation. And some characters will put AoE things on the ground, or they'll be able to be like, okay, well, the rear character does this buff within vicinity, so it'll end up just, you know, helping out the people standing all the way in the back. Or a tank like Akino, she has this little heal, okay, and that was a lot quicker than I kind of figured. But Akino has this little AoE heal that she can do. She's a physical damage dealer, but she can do a little bit of a heal too, but it only affects people on the front row or standing in her immediate vicinity. So there are limitations depending on what characters you do. And that's pretty much the gist of the battles. You really don't have to worry that much about getting all complicated with any kind of boss fights or anything right now. You know, when you're doing the labyrinths or the dungeons here, yeah, when you get to that boss at the end, you might have to figure out a little something maybe, right? But typically, just grinding through the story, at least for now, you don't have to get all kind of crazy with your group makeup. So just remember, tank, support, a healer, 2 DPS, that's your standard. If you need more damage, take out the support. If you don't need as much heals, take out the healer, Pull in somebody that does single target. Research the characters, and I have guides all over the place here on YouTube that are going to help you out if you want to look up certain characters and our opinions on them. Because if you're going to be playing this game, and you're going to be sticking around for the long haul, there's a lot more characters and a lot more changes to come for years. Okay, there's 3 years of content for this game out on the JP side. Well, there's a lot to come. Like, share, subscribe, hit that notification button. If you guys happen to have any questions, specific characters, formations, or anything like that, feel free to comment down below, or in the description below, we have a link to a Discord server. Feel free to hop into the Discord server, ask some questions. We got plenty of people that are willing to help you out. I'll help you out. And yeah, this game is going to be around for a very long time. So when you get in here and get that battle formation down, you know what? It's going to serve you some good in the long term, because this game's going to be around for a very long time. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next video.